I want to get into some AI here. A lot of people fear AI. A lot of people think that AI is a bad thing. It's a job killer, etc. Is AI going to be a job killer? Yeah, AI is a job killer. On a personal note, I use AI to help manage quite a few things. AI isn't new at all. From the time we got robots, we were talking about AI. Look at what AI did to employment in the auto industry. Robots building cars. Every single robot that you see there replaced several human beings. Is it artificial intelligence? Hell yes. We just didn't have a fancy word to call it. We called it robotics, automation. But AI has been around for a very long time. But the growth of certain things, like the growth of cancer, is exponential. Let me explain. You have one cancer cell. The next iteration is each of those one cancer cells become two. So one cancer cell becomes two. Two cancer cells becomes four. The next generation becomes 8. The next generation becomes 16. The next generation becomes 32. The next generation becomes 64. The next generation becomes 128. That's called exponential growth. Every iteration, the growth rate is much higher. That's the same thing with AI. You first got a machine that did the calculations for you. Remember those old calculators? They were all mechanical. Tick, tick. You could do a whole lot of computations faster by having a machine do it, mechanical. Then we invented something called the transistor. The transistor did the same thing these mechanical things for a mechanical calculator did. It just did it faster. And then we went from transistors to microchips, which simulated millions of transistors on a little thing, and we could do things a bit faster. Then we got the computers, which was the conglomerations of microchips that created the CPU, the central processing unit. And then we got the software that know what to do. And all these things grew exponentially. So this fast-paced AI is something that happens in nature all of the times, exponential growth. And it's not hard at all to see that eventually this exponential growth, just like it got rid of workers in Michigan, would start getting rid of every kind of worker that it has. You no longer need to have these big, expensive call centers anymore. Because if you have a call center with a human being, every human being that joined that call center that gives you technical support has to learn about the subject they're giving you technical support in. Well, now we have AI databases that you build one time. You also have the AI database that listens to every phone call that's made to a call center so that they understand what kind of questions people ask, what kind of questions are answered successfully by the human beings that are hired and trained. And as the AI system, the database that's being built, learn about what's happening, that database gets built. And you know what's the difference between that database and a human being? That database never gets sick. It never gets ill or anything like that. So therefore, all that database has to do is mimic the things that it has learned from the human beings. And then we don't need the human beings anymore, because when you call a call center now, most of the times you get an AI bot. And most of the times that AI bot is pretty damn good. Now you have ChatGPT, another AI bot. You have Represent. You have all these different bots that you can ask a question. And because they have learned how to answer these questions from everybody on the planet, they do a fairly good job of it. Try the free version of ChatGPT. Ask it anything. You get good answers. I use a paid version of ChatGPT because this is what I do, right? This is how I inform you, etc. It's still not perfect. It makes mistakes. But so secretaries and engineers are getting replaced by a lot of these automation tools because it has learned from us. It has learned all these things that we do. And you take a look at the job you do every day. A lot of the jobs that you do every day are repetitious. You do the same thing every day. So you can get that automated. It's called AI. AI is also going a step further. It's learning how to do things logically. In other words, it's learning how to also teach itself the same way you teach yourself. You learn how to answer certain calls, and you know that the tone of somebody's voice mean you have to deal with them differently. AI is now understands that as well. So yeah, yes, AI is likely to take a whole lot of jobs away. But is that a bad thing? It's only a bad thing in a capitalist society. Again, I want you guys to understand this well. It's only a problem in a capitalist society. The people who own capital, they pay for the engineers who are fomenting their own demise. They pay for the secretaries who are fomenting their own demise. Because under the pretext of this economic system, you pay somebody for their labor, you pay somebody for their intellect, and that person doesn't owe you who had the capital to pay for that. As an engineer, I build let's say an AI system that answers the phone for this company. They pay me one time and then I go home. I've used the knowledge that I learned from the internet, from how a lot of people answer questions and all these other things. And after that, they don't need me. They just need a maintenance structure to make sure the computers continue to work. When a chip goes bad, to replace the chip. Maybe any additional learning, because we've now taught AI how to teach itself. We just need a small amount of human intervention. And who makes a profit from having a call center run by AI? The capitalist who invested his capital to buy human intellect, to buy human know-how. That capitalist is the person who makes all the spoils. The same applies for that. Remember, I talk about exponential growth. That is repeated over and over and over again. In a capitalist society where we say the person with capital risk their capital and they profit from the risk that they take. That's a lie, but that's for a bit later. They risk nothing, but that's the story you've been told. They risk their capital and the reward for that is the profit they make from the risk they took in AI. It's not true, but that's what they tell you. So we accept that AI is going to cost a lot of jobs. And lucky for the investor, lucky for the small amount of people that are still going to be needed, lucky for them. There are two missing points here. One, if you don't have an employed populace, then the products that all this AI is going to generate, the faster cars, all the things that AI will generate, who's going to buy it? If you don't have the money to buy it, people won't buy it. But don't think the billionaires haven't thought about that. They have. In the long run, they will support certain types of taxes to keep money in your pocket to keep the economy going. But that's not where I want to go quite yet. I want to go to where the type of economy that AI should be creating and that we should be demanding. We have given the power, the economic power with capitalism to the owners of capital. Doesn't matter how they got that capital. The West Texas landowner stole all that land. They have capital and they can invest in AI. So their stolen property invested in AI puts you out of a job. And that goes in every sector. The person who found oil on public lands and they're profiting from that oil on their public lands are investing in AI and all those data centers that take a whole lot of energy, etc. It's your money. It's what you created. You created your own demise. That's what a capitalist system does when it comes to who benefits from the spoils. It isn't true that these guys risk anything. When they risk their money for their projects that are not successful, they get that money back, because for the projects that are successful, before they make a profit on the successful projects, our government, we the people, allow them to deduct their losses from the projects that fail. So anytime you hear we have this system because we want to generate innovation, because if they don't see a profit in innovation, they won't innovate. The capitalists don't innovate. The people with capital don't innovate. The engineer innovate. The teachers innovate because the teachers makes us. The other people innovate. They create. The capitalists just put their monies out there. And whenever they make a profit, they're rich. And whenever they lose money, they write it off. So what should AI looks like, and what kind of an economic system allows for AI to be the right thing? First of all, I support AI wholeheartedly. I want AI. I want those self-driving trucks. I want those self-driving Ubers. I want all of that. I want us to have so much leisure that we can have more time hugging our children, that we can have so much time hugging the people we love, that we can have so much time enjoying nature, that we can have most of our times on vacation. Why? Because we work towards it from the inception of humanity that have socialized. As we came together socially, we have worked together to create things, to create tools. We created the hammer. We created the hatchet. We created the wheel. We created the machines that did all this work. We created it, not the capitalists. We did. Then you got some smart aleck that created a system where they could profit with their capital on your work, on the engineer, on the lawyer, on the guy who sweep the streets, on the garbage collector. All of those things are being consumed into the AI database so that eventually it replaces the actual worker, right? And I'm saying, replace the worker, please. Replace the worker. I want that worker replaced by AI. But what I want, folks, is I want us to have the laws that says the following. Eventually, we'll get to a 10-hour work week, And AI, which isn't the domain of the capitalists, the wealthy, it is our creation. It is your mind. Every time you make a call to a call center, you're training the AI system, the AI model. Every time you drive your car and get into an accident, you're training the AI model. Every time you lose your life from cancer, you're training the AI model. Every time you're cured from cancer, you're training the AI model. We are the inputs that creates AI. The capitalists pay some engineers to understand how to create the relational databases that allows AI to make the choices it makes, that many a times make better choices that we as human beings with a slower mind. In other words, the electrons in our minds, even though it's run in what's known a network manner, it's arranged much better than a von Neumann type computer, but the computer still, because we can apply the massive amount of energy faster than our brain. But we created that. All of us created that, from the janitor right up to the engineer, right up to the doctor. We created the data set that AI uses to do its job, and we are not compensated. I want to kind of go on a little tangent, and I'm going to use Oprah as an example. Oprah is a billionaire. Oprah became a billionaire because she was able to project herself over radio and TV, over the internet. She brought into America's homes things that America liked about her and about the advice that she gives, about the touchy-feely friend that she became to millions of Americans. And that allowed her to reap a lot of money for herself and became a billionaire. And a lot of folks would say, well, she lifted herself up by her bootstrap. I'm using Oprah because Oprah started her life as a very poor person, and she used the capitalist system to get very wealthy. Now, nobody should envy. She played by the rules and she did everything right. But did she really earn the billions that she has? You know, just like in AI, the long narrative that I just gave you with AI, that engineer who created Tesla, who created how to send electronic waves over the air, he never got wealthy from his creation, which has made Oprah rich. From the von Neumann computer system that allows her on the internet or allows the machines to work, none of them made billions, but absent their work, she wouldn't be a billionaire. She's a capitalist, but she wouldn't be a billionaire, right? We are all a collective. We are all interdependent on each other. And for us to say that the last person to use all the doings, all the makings, all the creations of all of us to be the ones profiting, that's a flawed, that's a failed economic system. Do I know what the economic system should look like so that it would actually be fair? Absolutely so. Can I build it? No, I need a lot of people more intelligent to build it. But what I do know is that the reason people are scared of AI is because of the indoctrination that's been in our heads for such a long time. To think that this economic system is God, to think that this economic system is what gave us our growth, etc. It's absolutely false. Inventions and creations have come from people from all over the world. And yes, capitalism can push invention, but it can also stunt invention. That's why we're still on oil. That is why we're still on these different things, because our economic system has prevented us from moving forward. And when they found an open door to make more and less of us, that's what they do. That's what they do. So my thing to all of you, and I'm coming close to time here, is not to fear AI. It's to demand that we are all compensated from AI, all of us. And how are we compensated? The 10-hour work week. The 10-hour work week. Everybody still gets employed. And for those who don't have a job, basic income, because the AI model was created by all of us, from all of us, from even the vagabond on the street had a part to do in the creation of the AI model. All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.